From a slew of new weapons and a dynamic weather system to a non-linear approach for story progression, here's everything to know about Ghost of Yotei. Set over 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima, Japan has undergone a huge transformation between the Mongol invasion of the late 1200s and the early 1600s that Ghost of Yotei is set in. Soon after the events of Tsushima, the shogunate fell, and a period known as Sengoku, or the Warring States, began, where feudal lords known as daimyo fought for control over the region. Europeans, particularly the Portuguese, also arrived in Japan, bringing both religion and firearms to the country, which also rapidly changed the trajectory of its history. When the dust settled, Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged as the new shogun, marking the beginning of the Tokugawa shogunate and reunification of Japan. Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows is set during the tail end of the Sengoku period, while the book and TV show Shogun is a fictional account of how the Tokugawa shogunate was formed. With Japan's control now once again centralized, the country turned its attention to the north and the untamed wilds of Ezo, setting the stage for the events that transpire in Ghost of Yotei. The main player of the region is Lord Saito and his clan, as well as 5 elite warriors that, when including Saito himself, form the Yotei Six. Yotei's protagonist, Atsu, was left for dead by Saito and his henchmen after they slaughtered her family for currently unknown reasons. Ghost of Yotei follows Atsu on her quest for revenge, already starting her out from a place where she is a ghost, or Onryo as the locals know her, a demonic spirit that can cause harm in the land of the living that are on a path of vengeance. Following the release of Ghost of Tsushima, the team at developer Sucker Punch traveled to Japan in order to find inspiration for the setting of their next game. Upon seeing Mount Yotei's reflection in Lake Toya, the team locked in on the location. In order to respectfully represent Hokkaido, the northern region of Japan where Mount Yotei is located, and historically known as Ezo, the devs worked with the Ainu people, the indigenous population of the region, to balance authenticity with their creative storytelling choices. While Ghost of Tsushima was well received both critically and commercially, the team wanted to improve on areas in the first game that received criticism, particularly around unengaging and repetitive open-world quests. These changes most notably impressed former Sony executive Shuhei Yoshida, who claimed that after multiple rounds of playing the title while in development, that Yotei will be, quote, even better than its predecessor. As previously mentioned, Atsu starts out already as a ghost, unlike Tsushima's protagonist Jin, whose path to ghosthood transpired over the course of the game. As such, Atsu's stealthy aspect will be more prevalent from the start of Yotei. The biggest difference between the two titles are the foregoing of stances and the introduction of new weapons. In order to face off against different enemies in Tsushima, Jin would adopt a different fighting style while, all the time, utilizing his katana. In Yotei, Atsu wields a variety of weapons to stand against the Yotei Six and their lackeys. The weapons featured in the game, in addition to the single katana, are dual katanas, a matchlock rifle known as a Tanegashima, an Odachi, which is a much longer and heftier blade than the katana, the Yari, or spear, a Kusarigama, which is a sickle and chain, and a grappling hook known as a Kaganawa. Atsu will also have a wolf companion that can aid in combat in specific moments. The development team took inspiration from the climate of the region to implement a dynamic weather system, the landscape adjusting with rain and snow and even auroras, which are visible in the real-life region during certain times of the year. You can also ride your horse through patches of white flowers to give yourself a speed boost while traversing Ezo. To progress through the game, players have a lot more freedom to tackle main quests than in Ghost of Tsushima. Atsu is able to face off against the Yotei Six in a different order based on the player's choices. Both campaign and side quests are all funneled through a new card system, which players obtain through interrogating enemies after defeating them in battle. These cards offer new clues for Atsu to follow the trail of her prey, or provide key information to give her the upper hand in her hunt. In order to level up to the point where Atsu can fulfill her vengeful mission, she will need to upgrade her weapons and gear, much like in Ghost of Tsushima. However, in Yotei, Atsu can make camp and have the various vendors that offer upgrades come to her, rather than her having to go to them. While at camp, Atsu can cook food for a temporary bonus, craft ammo, and play her shamisen. A variety of points of interest are returning from the first game as well, such as natural baths that Atsu can bathe in to increase her health, or bamboo stands that she can cut down to increase her spirit, the resource that allows her to both heal and execute skills. New side opportunities are also introduced, like the ability to sit down and do a sumai painting, or gain currency through bounty hunts. The Kurosawa mode of the first game is also returning, which players can toggle on and off and change the game's visuals and audio to mimic those of Akira Kurosawa's black and white samurai films. In addition, the game is getting 2 more modes in a similar vein. The first is inspired by Japanese filmmaker Takashi Miike, which pushes the camera in closer during combat and increases the game's blood and mud levels. Then there's Watanabe mode, named after the creator of the anime Samurai Champloo, that adds lo-fi beats to the game inspired in line with what one might hear in that show. Points in Atsu's journey, she can transport herself back to her childhood, which, thanks to the speed of the PS5's SSD, can happen in an instant with the single press of a button. Ghost of Yotei releases on PS5 on October 2nd, 2025. The base game is $70, but for $10 more, you can get the deluxe edition of the game, which includes some armor, cosmetics, and an early unlock of Traveler's Maps, which more quickly provide the player with waypoints to side activities. A collector's edition is retailing for $250. It includes all of the content of the deluxe edition, while adding a variety of physical items, including a replica of one of Atsu's masks. Pre-ordering any of these editions will net you PSN avatars based on characters from the game, as well as a unique in-game mask. In addition to the game, some new Yotei-inspired hardware will be available. You can get a DualSense controller with either a black or gold motif inspired by the game, which is then also featured on a Yotei Edition PS5 console. While you can buy a standard PS5 with either the black or gold design, you can only buy the standalone covers in gold, but for either the PS5 or PS5 Pro. That means there is no black motif option for the Pro console. And that is everything to know about Ghost of Yotei. For more on the game, including our eventual review, stay right here on GameSpot.